Hey everybody, welcome back to Various Fields. My name is Hazen Fields II.
I'm Hazen Fields III.
I'm Lex.
And we are so happy to be back with all of our friends again. This is the first show of the new year. And I'll tell you what, we are excited about coming back to you in 2026. And we have a lot of plans for this show. Are you guys excited about the plans that we have?
I'm very excited for this upcoming year.
Excited for the year.
We are now always going to be doing an hour show.
Yeah.
But now we're going to be including some things through the year. We're hoping to have some fields reporters that will be individuals that will be doing reports, and we're going to see some more segments on what do we call it, Nels? What do you call it? Cutaways. We're going to have cutaways.
Yes.
I'm still learning terminology. And we have in the building with us, we have our good friends, Nels. Let's hear Nels is here in the brand new year. And also we got our good friend, Paul Rudnick. Let's hear Paul. We're so good. And Paul has been helping us with all of our marketing and things of the nature. And we're going to be doing a lot more things like that. And you know, we're even changing the set. You might notice or not notice that our mic stands are different. I know it may not be a big thing to you, because I know some of you are saying, my gosh, you guys must be financed by some big financiers. Well, that would be wonderful. However, this is built on love and the labor of and sweat equity.
A lot of community.
A lot of community. But we're very happy that you're here with us this year. And we promised this year, we've been very kind, in our political stances.
Indeed.
Because we were, trying to be like, well, let's try to be not necessarily middle of the road, but we want to see both sides. But we're in a time where we've got to say the quiet thing out loud. In fact, I think last year, I don't even say his name. I really never said his name. Donald J. Trump.
He sucks.
He sucks. And it's really
not
bad.
a great guy.
And that's what we just got to say, And we've got to be able to tell people, and let's see, said, and we got to let the world know, and that's it. What do you guys feel about our changing our position of forging ahead?
I feel like it's long overdue. I want people to know where we stand. I think it was a little bit of getting used to being on a podcast online and not trying to silence or feel like we're opposed to new voices or signs, because we want everyone's opinion and everyone to think. However, a good point that is made that I watched another YouTube video a while ago, where it's very hard to debate or be diplomatic with fascists, because fascism doesn't believe in diplomacy, so there's no point really in being diplomatic with people who actually want to be or support fascism. It's not a debate at that point.
Okay. Right. If you go in first with the fear of being canceled, the fear of losing your voice, then you don't really have a voice at all. You might as well speak the truth as best as you can, right? And not so much like live with the consequences, but like we try to be honest with our words here. We try our best to, speak our mind and speak our opinion based on how we feel, not just where the country's going, but how this legislation is going, right? We don't agree with a great deal of what has been happening, right? We might as well just tell our truth as is and not say like, oh no, what if they find us out? Like, and honestly, like you said, like with us beginning our podcast journey, we have a lot of roadblocks that we've been kind of barreling through. We've been we've been not as graceful with our presentation in the past, but we've been great.
We are learning, and we're hoping that this upcoming year production value is going to go up a little bit. We're trying our best to hopefully respond to our comments a little bit more, respond to our community more. Hopefully, just be more up to date with the social medias. Thanks to Paul and the back. But we're going to try our best to take not just our platform more seriously, but also speak more seriously, speak more truth to power. And we're looking forward to that for ourselves. We hope you guys as our audience looks forward to seeing that from us.
But we also will continue to have the family conversations that we normally have. We're not just going to be straight political, but we are not going to shy away from speaking directly to those things that are happening. In fact, most recently, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had a conversation with an iconic member of America.
Oh, who did you talk to? The whole federal administration. There's a lot of hard people to get in contact with.
Well, it wasn't a person per se.
Interesting.
It was an icon.
An icon.
An
Indeed.
actual icon.
I actually had an opportunity to sit down and through the transmogrification of magic and the filters and things of that nature, I was able to speak to the American flag incarnate.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I would assume it was a bald eagle.
No.
Not even Uncle Sam couldn't even get it
No,
done.
not this time. This time I spoke to the United States American flag.
The flag
He's-
himself.
Yeah, USAF. He's known as Yusuf. I didn't realize that.
Never would have known that.
Yeah, so we're so actually I brought a clip,
Oh.
of that conversation. I would love to show it to you. You guys want to see it?
I would love to.
All right. Well, this was named by my good friend Paul Rudnick. This is going to be the first episode of Hayestorically Speaking. You see what we did there? That was it.
Because it sounds like hay from horses.
No. My first name.
Oh,
Hayes.
Hayes. Okay,
Well,
that's what.
Now cut that out. Yes, Historically Speaking. So right now, do me a favor. Why don't you watch this with us? As I hope you enjoy it. It's got a lot of good points, and if you take a look at it, enjoy your first episode of Historically Speaking. Take it away.
I'm invested.
Hi, I'm Hayes Field. I'm coming from various fields, and I'm here at the iconic Mopco Theater in Schenectady, New York, where we have our very first guest. We've all seen him around, waving above all the various places that we go to. Ladies and gentlemen, the iconic United States of America flag.
Hayes.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Really?
I'm so glad that you were able to make it. Thank you.
Yeah, so am I. Touch and go there.
Yeah. And I appreciate you being in this forum so that people can have a wonderful conversation with you.
Thanks.
It's
Thanks.
a lot of things to talk to you about, and we're going to try to, get it all in. But first of all, how are you feeling about how you're being represented nowadays?
If I can be honest, and I know I can, these are bad times. And I am being represented by people who have no more idea what I'm really about than the man in the moon. It's not good. It's not good. That idea, being indivisible,
Yes.
we could not be more divided. In fact, I think we are under siege.
Yeah.
And both sides are waving the same flag.
That must be hard for you. The words that we say, I know of a lot of young people, we do the entire Pledge of Allegiance, and we always mention you. And how do you feel about the Pledge of Allegiance?
Well, I've always had a little problem with the whole thing, really, because they make these kids do this whole thing every single day. If I pledge something to you, I only have to pledge it once. So what is this deal with it every day?
I never even thought about that, but that's a good point.
And what are they pledging to me for? I think there's a set of values that I hope I represent. They ought to be pledging to those.
Well, I agree with you, and it seems as though we're moving in further and further away from those values. I do have a question for you. In the new year, 2026, I don't know if anyone's told you, but two of our major holidays where we used to go to the national parks for free are now going to be paid for. The one is Martin Luther King's birthday, and the Juneteenth celebration is now going to be paid when you go into the national parks. And the current president, his birthday actually falls on your birthday, Flag Day.
Don't remind me.
And that day is going to be free.
Well, sure it is. Gee, you said Juneteenth.
Yes.
And Martin Luther King Day.
That's right.
Seems to me there's something in common between those.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know your feelings on this new president's what he's doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Juneteenth kind of traditionally a day where you go to the park and you celebrate with family and friends outdoors? And it's a celebration of freedom?
Yes. But now we have to pay for that freedom. Ironically, the word free is in the first syllable of freedom. Isn't that right?
Isn't that right? Yes, it is. And, of course, Dr. King fought his entire life for freedom. But now we're giving free admission to the folks who like to wave the Trump version of me. Is that what we're saying?
I guess so. But listen, I don't want to just delve into what's coming up in 2026, but tell me about your history. Tell me some of the things that you've seen in this country.
Well, great. Yeah, I'd like to. Because one thing is, I'm saying it's bad times. It hasn't been good times very often. You know, I mean, I was born in the midst of a brand new republic that had just fought a terrible war, and things didn't get much better. We went from war to war to war to war, and everyone, they were waving me as though I was some sort of, pardon the phrase, God that would, I don't know what, make sure there was victory. I'm not sure what they were about, to be fair. I've always wondered, right? Like, why do they got to wave me over all that bloodletting?
I'm sorry for that. I guess it became a tradition and custom that we didn't pay attention, and you might have feelings about it yourself.
Well, I do, you know. I mean, okay, so there's the red and the white, and by the way, I apologize. When I came through the filter, it looked like this. I was pushing for a, you know, kind of a more rainbow hue to really reflect the, but yeah, you get what you get. Right?
Strangely enough, you look like a friend of mine, and so I'm very happy that you chose.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But, you know, we went into the war, one war after another, through the 19th century, into the 20th. Now we're in the 21st. We're still doing the same thing. I sometimes think what I represent is a failure to learn.
Please say more about that.
Well, you know, why can't we figure out after 250 years that maybe blowing stuff and people up is not the way to solve your problems?
Very true.
You know?
Very true.
When it all started, this was a little agrarian nation. People had their farms and grew their crops, and there was injustice. Right? I mean, these cats that started the whole thing and commissioned that flag that I represent, right, that they were all pretty privileged guys, similar hue to mine, lots of money, owned property.
At least the hue that you've chosen to jump into
the
today.
filter chose it today.
I
got no control over that.
No, that's fine.
I get what I'm given.
No, but that's
you
fine.
know. But I remember some of their early conversations, and I was trying to be heard. I was saying, wait, all people are created equal, right, guys? Don't you want to say all people
are
created?
To get that?
But they couldn't hear me. They very seldom hear me.
I think that's what's happening today. People are not hearing what you're saying as the embodiment of the flag, and
I'm singing as loud as I can, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you, do you have any friends, any of the other icons? Are you friends with Statue of Liberty? Or the
people?
Yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah. Miss Liberty is, she's heartbroken.
Really?
She's an old friend and a good friend. I love that little French accent of hers. It's cute. She'd kill me if she heard that. She would kill me if she heard that. But, yeah, she's saying they're not giving me the tired and the poor and the huddled masses yearning to be free. They're rounding them up, and they're shipping them off to God knows where, and she is completely heartbroken.
Yeah. It seems to be a stain on the flag.
There are a lot of those. One's shaped like Vietnam. One is this time that we have, there's a wounded knee stain. You know? There was an entire business district, little town, they called it Black Wall Street, and it was completely destroyed. They actually bombed it from airplanes.
Yeah, you
That's
know
a
what?
big stain, you know?
I even hate thinking about that time. You know, and I thank you for being pained by that, because sometimes as a human being, we don't know what the flag really feels.
Well, what this flag feels is a combination of anger and hope.
Anger and hope.
You bet. Because you know why the anger. You know I am sure why the anger is there, but the hope is this, truth will out, and the arc of history goes towards justice, and I still believe that.
I thank you, Flag. May I call you Flag? I know
Yeah, sure, call me Flag, call me Merkin. Down south they do that some, Merkin Flag. I never understood what a Merkin is, but
I've heard some people call you Yusef,
Well, that's my given name.
I see.
Yusef,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, listen, I do want to ask, are you friends with any other flags, or how do you get along with other flags?
It is my intention to be friends with all of them, and we flags are pretty friendly people. What do we like to do? Wave in the wind and be colorful.
Yeah.
I love the UN building, all those different flags.
Yeah,
we get together, we sing, we dance, we have a wonderful time. There are people who don't want that to happen. They want me to be all alone.
And it's got to be tough waving when times you...
I'm darn near 250 years old.
Yeah.
This too shall pass.
Well,
I can
appreciate
guarantee that.
I appreciate your hope. I don't want... I have so many things I'd love to ask you about. Some people are burning the flag. What do you think?
I've never been burnt.
Pardon? What do you mean?
They burn pieces of cloth. See, that's the thing people have a hard time with. Those pieces of cloth are a symbol of what I am, the spirit of the USA flag.
Huh.
They can't hurt me by burning a piece of cloth. In fact, look up any Boy Scout manual, the way you dispose of those pieces of cloth when they get old is by burning them. So, nothing strange there. Nothing strange there.
Never thought about that.
Nor is it a crime to fly those pieces of cloth upside down. That means distress. But
wow.
Some would have you believe that's some terrible thing.
I want to say, I don't want to make this too long because, there's so many things I want to ask. I've been noticing that you've been flying at half-mast a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And that makes me also very sad. The red, part of that red, white, and blue represents blood. And from the day they came up with the concept, it's been flowing. And it is today.
Well, listen, let's be a little bit more cheerful. Is there anything that you've ever wanted as a flag?
Yeah. I think I've wanted people to look up and see that red, white, and blue up in the sky and say, yeah, we're from a special place.
Wow.
And we welcome others to come join us, the U.S.
Well, listen, I heard through the grapevine that you've always wanted to try a hot dog.
Oh, man. Yes. I tell you, everywhere I go, they're eating hot dogs. At picnics, at Coney Island, they're eating hot dogs. Everywhere, they're eating hot dogs. I've never had a hot dog. They look so good. Oh, they look good.
Well, Yusef, I am so glad that you shared all your deepest thoughts and secrets, and I hope here at Various Fields we're going to try to represent you the way you'd like to be represented.
Well, I'd really be well represented if you had a hot dog over there on that table.
Well, I'm sorry, we didn't really bring one today. I just heard about it.
Okay.
It's okay. Well, let me just say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah.
This is Hayes Field II from Various Fields, and this has been Hayestorically Speaking with our guest Yusef, the United States American flag, and we're so thankful for having him here today at the Mopco Theater in 10 North J Street in Schenectady, and we're thanking you for being here.
Wave on, folks.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, about the hot dog, that was a mistake.
Well, the thing is, I'm not trying to put pressure on you.
It's always...
All right.
That's super cool. The American flag himself.
Well, thank you very much, Yusef, for your very insightful input. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the American flag is not as happy as we would like him to be at this time.
I mean, I feel bad. I mean, like it's the American flag must be going through a hard time, and it seems like no one has asked the American flag besides yourself how he's feeling. So it must have been he must have been very grateful to be able to express how he feels.
Yeah, I kind of was grateful, but mainly I felt bad for the spirit of the American flag, because the ideals are good,
Right.
but the application has been lacking.
Yeah, it always sucks when you have friends who misrepresent you, and I feel like he has a lot of his people that should be his friends who are misrepresenting him right now.
Yeah, and his enemies
Indeed.
are actually saying some things that are negative as well. But the point is, since the inception of this country, we've had to deal with what we were about, who we are.
Right.
And there's some truths and there's some lies that I know going through school and going to school, learning about what people call the founding fathers, they would call the founders, and people place so much love on them. They almost reverence.
Right.
The reverence is almost like gods. And
some even have their whole play written after them.
Which is a wonderful play, and if you ever want to support various fields, Alex Hamilton, we'd love to have.
It's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah. But the thing is that these are just men.
Right.
Just men. Just guys.
Dudes.
Privileged men. Privileged white men. That came from England, and really, if you think about it, they almost had to make this country.
Oh yeah.
Work, because otherwise they would have been on the chopping block in England.
Indeed. Yeah.
So it wasn't just let's make a country. It was like we gotta get this.
We gotta get it moving.
We gotta make it work, because England was not gonna be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But we move further down, and we get to the point where we're now in 76 after we create a nation, but now we have to create a constitution. We're somewhere around 1787 now.
Right.
And now they got to begin the process of beginning a government with this ragtag bunch of ne'er-do-wells and whatever and they're just people. And the thing I recognize for myself, was a common denominator.
What's that?
For all of the founding people.
They all wear powdered wigs.
I was thinking powdered wigs.
That powdered wigs is a true thing.
Right.
Yeah. That must. I don't know who created that, but
it's a style. Back
it was
then.
like an England style, like let's talk business and let's get things done, but let's get some powdered wigs on.
Absolutely.
The Supreme Court still does that, right? They have to put on the judges, or is it British Parliament?
I think Parliament. I think
I don't see a lot of judges nowadays.
No, but it's just I don't know. I feel like for a very prestigious job, it must be very hard to be like, and well.
yeah.
See you at work, honey.
Exactly.
It's just tough.
But it was a different time.
It was a different time.
And it was a different time, and not only different time, the culture was different. The culture was, a great deal of it was horrendous in terms of human rights and what people, how people lived. Obviously, enslavement was there.
Right.
And I always use the term enslavement. And I know people don't like, because people say, oh, they were slaves. No!
They were enslaved.
They were enslaved. There was no, it's like, I've heard someone describe it this way. When you go to a Home Depot, and you don't get cement, you get cement mix. So you get that and you go home and you make.
Right. You create the process.
You create the cement. So in other words, when people went to Africa, they didn't go and get slaves.
Right.
They came here and made.
They got people
They enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference. So you got free people.
Right.
It wasn't like people, hey, anybody want to be a slave? Sure, I'm fine, but no one wants that.
Right.
But that was a part of the American thing, and it's a hard thing to talk about.
Actually, that's something I want to get into. Where it is a part of an American thing, and I feel like a lot of times these days, a lot of people will say, "Well, this isn't America. This is not us," and it's very fundamentally. Slavery was fundamentally a part of America, much like a lot of things that the Constitution has tried to, in some form, rectify some
Right.
amendments.
Yeah, and that's it. And so we have to use, and again, I was talking about the common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
All of the founding fathers, while they were, in Philadelphia there, they all had to go to the bathroom.
I hope so. Indeed.
No,
yeah.
but think about it.
Right.
There was no indoor plumbing.
Yeah.
And rituals for hygiene were not like we think of it today.
Yeah, because didn't George Bush have wooden teeth? That's a real thing, or a Lincoln?
Not
George
George
Washington.
Bush.
George
Washington.
That George Bush.
George Washington had.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
it's been found out that it wasn't wooden teeth,
Oh.
but it was teeth collected from slaves.
Oh,
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so that
That's horrendous.
and it's bad.
Yeah.
But in any case, the idea about the going to the bathroom is something that's poignant to me. To go back to them being just regular men, But there were people, there were enslaved people whose job was to make sure that they were called honey dippers. Just listen to the irony. They would clean the places, the sewage, the human sewage, the waste that people had. So these elegant men that were there, they had people there to clean up after they would, use the potty as they were, because they would bring their own pots sometimes.
And I assume that these people weren't paid.
No, they were
Right.
no, they were enslaved. you
Right.
know, and why am I saying this? In the midst of doing that which was to speak of freedom, the most ghastly idea of enslavement was being perpetrated simultaneously. So that imbalance
Right.
should let you see that there was a difficulty in perspective.
The way we are often taught, especially growing up, that America isn't the shining nation on the hill, shining city. It's not always what it's made out to be. And there's a lot of reference that's given to that time, to those people. But once more research is done, it's not just a uglier time. It's a time that is meant for us to look at with some skepticism and look at to be maybe critiqued.
Right. But here's the sad thing. This current administration is taking the Constitution and utilizing it. They're almost making it like they're doing like quality assurance testing.
They're not making amendments, they're making revisions. Or if anything, taking redactions.
They're doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing
Crossing
is
stuff out a little.
stuff, but what they're doing is testing the bounds of it, and seeing if like, hey, let me see how far we can take this and break this,
Right.
and see if anyone will say anything. And we are here at various fields of deciding to say something.
Right.
And we're asking all of our friends here to be vigilant and do the same. If you see something, say something.
Indeed.
So that's where we're going to begin here today. And I know I've been talking a lot. This is a passion of mine to make sure that we as citizens of this country, we pay attention to what's going on around us.
Right.
You don't have to agree with me, but let's agree to analyze. Let's agree to look at the truth. Let's not call something, something else when we know exactly what it is.
Right.
Right.
I'm glad we brought us back to the Constitution because the American flag, Yusuf, mentioned their friend, the Statue of Liberty. And that's one of the things that I feel, because it's so visceral and visual and visual, that we can see often if you watch the news and you don't try to blind yourself to what's happening, this nation is doing something absolutely horrible to people that are, one, they consider illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, but just immigrants in general. And it's something that there's ICE that's out there. There is the Federal Administration, his name is Stephen Miller, who I believe is the head of ICE, and is not on. I want to be specific about this because as the Statue of Liberty, or as it's supposed to be a Statue of Liberty, give me you're tired, you're sick, and you're poor. We're supposed to be a place that welcomes them. And that's something that we stand on. That's something that we built this nation off of. And now, not only are we doing the exact opposite, we're not just hurting or attacking or deporting illegal aliens. We're deporting American citizens, people who are born in this nation. And it was at sometimes, if you watch the news and people who are out there who try to defend it, as sometimes there's some mistakes, people who fell through the gaps and they try to send them back. Or sometimes they don't even defend it. They say, oh, this one minor mistake, this one, they may have had a parking ticket, and this is the thing that they're using to have them deport. But even more so now, you can tell even that is a cover-up for what seems to be something more insidious, because this administration is trying to end birthright citizenship, which is in the 14th Amendment.
Right.
I'll read it for everyone, or at least a quick section of it, where it says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. I can go further, but right there on its own is very clear. If you're born in the United States, you are a U.S. citizen. And the insidious facts and the implications of what it means to try to end something like that, it now goes down to, assumably, something like heritage, or or worse off, the ability for any administration, someone who has a badge, an ICE member, to question you and say, what is your citizenship? And without having papers, without something that they feel is legitimate that ties you to this nation, outside of you being born here, can now be questioned. And that, I think, is one of the most insidious things that's happening that we need to watch.
Like, I know through history we've had a horrible record of othering people in America, like particularly since the first landing here, when we had several ships met by the Native Americans that lived here. You know, there's always been atrocities committed to societies that were already harvesting and thriving off of the land initially, and that's just been persistent all throughout, like even with the idea and the conception of slavery and the opposing system of indentured servitude. There was a distinct difference, but that's still being argued between, right, when indentured servants had the ability to actually work their way out of that
enslavement.
That enslavement, right?
Contract.
It was a contract, right? It might have been harrowing for most, great deal, but it wasn't slavery in the effects of, like, you know, you had no other way out. You were expected to be property for the entirety of your life.
It wasn't what America created, which is the creation of America. This is chattel slavery, which is a whole different kind of institution. I don't know what to even call it.
An institution that still lives very much in America even now, even through the sake of the 13th Amendment, which I'm going to read right now. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, wherefore a party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to the jurisdiction. So technically, if you are in fact convicted of a crime, you could still be in lines to live internally as a slave through the penal system.
One heck of an asterisk.
Isn't that something? It's still so. These are things that, you know, that we see and we read and we go, it's impossible. That can't happen here in America.
Right.
You know, and you talked about othering people. I think that is one of the things that fascism does. If I keep saying the word immigrant, illegal alien, immigrant, illegal alien, this and the other, so after a while, you become desensitized, and you no longer see human beings.
Right.
You no longer see people with families. You don't see people thriving. People who are here to try to build, you know, and try to build it. And then people will sometimes use the excuse. They say, well, you can't do that in any other country. Come here. Thank God. This is what you're supposed to do. This is if we're supposed to be that shining light on the hill, if we're supposed to be that difference, where the Statue of Liberty, as you said, you know, bring me your tie, your poor, your huddled messes. If we're supposed to be that distinction, you know, let's not look at it. We're not doing things like everybody else. Let's say yes, we're an example to the rest of the world of what humanity looks like. You know, that's what those, you know, the words in the Constitution, you know, the ideas that are there, the preamble itself, you know, it's beautiful, the words, but it's the application that's giving us great difficulty. And now when you have, a person that's in the White House who is absolutely just wanting to poke holes in the Constitution, disregard it. I mean, think about some of the things that he's done.
Right.
I mean, I'm just talking about the things that are just absolutely egotistical. The Kennedy Center has his name on it.
Right.
The Trump
And
Yeah, right.
Trump and John F. Kennedy Center. What in the world? First of all, it like Nels is saying, it's crazy.
right.
It's crazy. I mean, it's like if you had to have an example of narcissism, ego. What better way of taking a beloved president and then putting your name before this beloved president?
And I think that also speaks to, for people, and this is interesting to me because I want to make sure it's sometimes hard to not talk for or against people who disagree with you, but sometimes it's hard to see their reason. And for me, I'm not going to do too much appealing or trying to figure things out, but I am going to say I think we now have a very, very, very clear pattern if we didn't have one before. But we're seeing the active rebranding, quite literally, of America into what Donald Trump's mindset. And his mindset is that America is his to own.
Right.
Because you don't just put your name on something if you don't feel that it's yours. You don't destroy the entire, I believe, West Wing of
Yes.
this
Yeah.
White House if
Right.
you don't believe it's yours. You don't try to change the American Constitution. You don't try to change these things. I realize that he's a president of, and the what's it called, POTUS, has immense powers when it comes to law. But I think the difference being for people who do maybe see respect but aren't as far as hopefully as fascists, that people understand this is someone who is egotistical, but egotistical in a way that he has the mindset of wanting to own not just the nation, not just the ideas, not just the buildings, but the people. He does want to. And this is not to just go to the 13th Amendment, this is not to say that, but I think something that is going to be caught up, and because we're talking about it's going to release, we have a whole bunch of things releasing about the Epstein files. And there's stuff that is people are yet to be indicted, there's yet to be any prosecutions, there's yet to be stuff like that out. But I think to talk about how it's been hidden, how we've seen Donald Trump interact with young women and just young children in general.
Yes.
That this is someone who has a mindset that through power alone he can obtain or own anything, which I also believe is a sickness. I do believe it's a delusion of reality, and it is a danger that he is the president of the United States. I don't want to say our.
Yeah, and it's okay. A lot of times people say, well, show me the proof, show me the proof, show me the proof, show me the proof. And I get it. But there's a certain amount of personal experience that you're allowed to have as a human being. Where you can look and have interactions with someone and say, that person, based upon my past looking at them and what they're doing, they don't seem to be trustworthy. This individual in the White House, he doesn't seem trustworthy.
Not a nice guy.
Even on its base level. Because didn't he, what was the hall that he created, where you go and you see all the past presidents.
Right.
He created a walking, and he talks negatively about the previous president and the President Obama. Who does, no time in history with a president, you're not supposed, you're to speak all the time of the past presidents and what you believe that they've done you wrong.
Right.
So, this, just what I'm saying, America, listen, it's okay for you to say, that's not the type of fellow that I would like to have come to my family picnic. That's not the type of fellow that I would purchase a vehicle from. Whatever it is. I'm just saying, because we're allowed to our own sense of trust and our own sense of what is integrity, what is right, what is good. We're allowed to feel that even if we don't have all of the ducks in a row, you know, if you got X amount of women saying, yes, he did this to me, and he's the only one saying, no, I didn't, there's a point where you can say, you know, maybe we can consider the thoughts of all of these women who were once children. Now they're saying the same thing that they were scared to say as a child, and now we're putting them on display, and now we're making them look like, no, something's wrong with you. Or X amount of you. Because this guy is trustworthy? Would you put him in the trustworthy category? I don't understand. And oh, I'm sorry. Christians, come on. That's all it is. That's it.
I like it.
That's all I can.
Christians, come on.
That's it.
I am. From what I'm understanding, there is some type of playbook that he's actually kind of pulling all these strategies from.
Oh yeah, fascism.
All right. Well, yeah, fascism. There's like a fascism 101 that he's
Yeah,
following,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And mind you, we already spoke on this podcast a little bit of what Mandate 2025,
Project
the Project 2025
yeah.
mandate, right? And also, I'm also want to let people be aware that currently, as I went through Barnes & Noble just a few days ago, I'm recognizing that the People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn is actually part of the burned book section. And like, mind you, it's always been controversial in terms of how it displays history, right? But the very fact that it is so prominent to kind of like see history portrayed in the ways that is in the pages there, it kind of gives you the realities of how atrocious the, like I said, the othering of people have been, right? And how it's always been part of the foundations of making America, right? On, you know, not just telling, or not telling of the other people's stories, but more so the telling of the stories of triumph that we see America kind of like doing now. Right, we don't hear the whispers of agony or pain, or those that are deported in holding camps for weeks on end. Right, separated from families and children and mothers. Right, we don't necessarily hear those stories as often. Right, and that's not even the main part of what's really being that's not really happening. All of what this administration, Trump, is doing, right, is eroding our sense of what normalcy is.
Yes.
All right, and I want to make sure that as American people, we also kind of have a focus and understanding, a recognition of what normal ought to have been. Because for those who have been born in the 2000s, right, they might have only seen 3 presidents, you know,
Right.
and that in that state, they might have considered Trump to be the normal that America has to offer. Right, so I want to let people know that this is not a normal thing to happen for anyone that claims to have a democratic republic. Right, this is very much one person's ego on top of a fascist playbook. Right, and don't let these constant switcheroos that are like the cover up for the Epstein or all these other war assemblies making Canada and South America part of America be the forefront of the conversation. Right, we have to keep him accountable for all of his actions and all of what he is doing. Right, and not just be taken for a ride, taken for a loop for all these other schemes, if you will.
It's a lot to take in, but also what's a lot to take in, I don't know exactly, is the love and affection that we get from you. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Hit all
I felt
the
it
buttons.
immediately once you did the
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if that actually, you know,
not about a 30-minute mark.
tracked exactly correctly. But you know, we really appreciate all of you who have subscribed, and the subscribing list is going up, and we are trying to get to. We're going to go live one day, you know, but we really want to hear from you. We want you to also go to our website at www.variousfields.com. We have a lot of things coming up there. We understand we're going to soon start seeing different blogs that we'll be doing. You'll be able to talk to us kind of personally and put some questions in. And we'd love to hear from you. Put some comments in so we can talk to you, you know, so we can get some back and forth. And we're also telling people, if you are interested in advertising here, we are very happy to have that happen. Because if you believe that we are speaking the mindset that you believe should be spoken for family and men and people in general, we would love to be able to advertise your product, and you support us as we support you. So to kind of get back to this, and it's kind of hard to make a transition and go back into this guy. Sometime in September, he signed the National Security Presidential Memorandum, NSPM-7. Now, this memorandum is the countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. So, if you read it, when you get a chance, he starts to, and I say his administration starts to talk about that which they believe is anti-American, anti-fascist, and things that they're going to go after. So in other words, they have a broad statement as to what they believe is anti-Christian. So in other words, if you say something against a Christian, they will, they may take it as that's, an terrorist type stuff.
And again, that reflects, goes against the Constitution, because there's supposed to be separation of church and state.
Indeed. And this is absolutely favoring one. I really want you guys to read it. I'm not going to investigate or read a whole thing here, but it speaks to the loss of life of how Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and that was the impetus for him there. But here's a man, the same man that when Charlie Kirk passed away, he makes the flag go half mast, as Youssef had told us, But when Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered, I've never heard such vile commentary from any human being.
Right.
And I think we've used this word sparingly in America, and just the word is sinister. I'm going to stop saying he's dumb, which he is, but I think that he lands on sinister. It's almost evil that's calculated. When you calculate being evil, I believe that's how I would define being sinister. And sinister is usually left for characters in comic books or books. I don't know. I don't think I've ever worked with anybody and said, well, how do you like working with Bob? Well, I don't know, Bob, I don't like him. Yeah, he's sinister. Have you ever used that word? I don't know if anyone, Paul, have you ever used the word sinister to describe anybody?
Never. Not once.
What about you, Nels?
Demonic.
Demonic. Well, demonic. Okay, I'll go with that too. But yeah, I'm landing with sinister, and I think it's appropriate.
I to do a quick, and this is not to make light of anything you said, but it reminded me of something, and it's almost a game I like to play with friends who I'm introducing to certain people, certain things if they're not familiar with everyone in Trump's party, but with the sinister, there's two things that come up. I think, like I said, you can extrapolate a couple of things, not just from the laws that they're trying to do, not just from their actions, but from how they speak, and then sometimes from how they posture themselves and how they position themselves. I'm not one to often say judge a book by its cover. However, I'm going to encourage my audience. If you aren't aware, there is a cabinet member of the federal administration that works for Trump named Stephen Miller. And I want you to do a quick Google image. You don't need to even look up what he's about, what he does. Just go straight to Google and see if you cannot find a picture of him that doesn't look like a supervillain. I'm serious about it. Go through it, and I mean, like, when I say go through Google, I mean, like, you can hit page 2 of Google and you will still have some trouble finding a picture of him that doesn't look like a supervillain. And I feel like that on its own is one of those things to consider. Does it mean he's a terrible guy just because he looks like that? No. But it does mean that if you look a certain way, you're unaware of their actions, I feel like you would try to attribute yourself better to maybe not be as sinister.
Right.
You know, if I said, hey, you know, I want to give all kids ice cream, I think that's a great idea. If I also said I want to give all kids ice cream,
right.
it just wouldn't bode well. And then if you're mean and sinister on top of that, and you're doing the evil thing, and you're looking sinister, it's too much. It's too much in one package.
Yeah.
One other thing I just thought of, something that is surprising to me, but it's really, do you know the color of Trump's hair? What color? Like what would you say?
Oh, that's a good question.
What would you say?
Hey, blonde.
Well, that's the thing. Trump's a blonde. And you forget about that because he's so orange. And it really did hit me the other day. It's not even a joke. I just realized, like, he's a blonde president, and you don't think about it. You don't think about it because there's something that when you see his face, you're like, oh, I don't even recognize. There's a different look. And I'm not even trying to be facetious. It really hit me that I was like, oh, he's blonde. That doesn't make sense. That's weird.
No,
strange.
You know what I mean? He's got a lot of strange stuff.
Yeah, but have you ever thought of Trump as a blonde?
Not really.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just
right.
he's his own thing. He's his own thing. He's got his own.
There used to be a thing. People said blondes have more fun.
He's having a lot of fun.
This is not fun.
He doesn't even seem to be having fun.
He sleeps so he talks about Sleepy Joe Biden. He uses that name to be disrespectful whilst he's absolutely sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want to point this out. At the very point of, as we're recording this, we have not reached a year of his presidency.
That's right.
Not quite.
Not quite.
And as just released, we still won't be in a full year.
Oh yeah, right. Wow, and that's strange enough. Before we end this program, we have to say Happy New Year.
That's right.
After this program, you might be like, "Oh my goodness."
But I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back to this. What was this memorandum right here that you had presented? Right, mind you, no one here on this podcast is in vote for any type of violence or any type of political violence in particular, right? But it always seems like it's very interesting how this one particularly came out in defense for, I want to say, the wrong types of organizations, you know, particularly when it came down to ICE, right? It seems like, mind you, like no one should be shot for their opinions or their ideals.
No.
Right? No one should be killed for having a thought or opinion against another individual.
No.
Right? We should have an open table discussion about how and why you feel the way you feel, and hopefully come to a consensus and an agreement about either let's just agree to disagree, or find a mutual in between to where we can both live together harmoniously. Right? But it just seems like all of these amendments are primarily in defense for his regime and his maintaining of power, right? Just, I guess, quickly reading the very first paragraph of this, amendment, the domestic terrorism and organized political violence, heinous assassinations, and other acts of political violence in the United States have dramatically increased in recent years. Even in the aftermath of horrifying assassination of Charlie Kirk, some individuals who adhered to the alleged shooter's ideology embraced and cheered his evil murder while actively encouraging more political violence. This was preceded by the 2024 assassination of a senior healthcare executive and the 2022 assassination attempt against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Two separate assassination attempts against my own life in less than 3 months took place during 2024 presidential election cycle. Riots in Los Angeles and Portland reflect more than 1,000% increase in attacks in U.S. immigration and custom enforcement ICE officers since January 21, 2025. Compared to the same period last year, I don't think ICE was a thing.
Not the way it was.
Not in the way it was, right?
Not like
Just yesterday, a shooting targeting an ICE facility in Dallas resulted in multiple casualties. Separate anti-police and anti-criminal justice riots have left many people dead and injured and inflicting over $2 billion in property damage nationwide. This political violence is not a series of isolated incidents and does not emerge organically. Instead, it is a culmination of sophisticated organized campaigns of targeted intimidations, radicalizations, threats, and violence designed to silence opposing speech, limit political activity, change or direct policy outcomes, and prevent the functioning of a democratic society. A new law enforcement strategy that investigates all participants in these criminal and terroristic terroristic conspiracies, including the organized structure, networks, entities, organizations, fundings, sources, and predicated actions behind them is required. So mind you, I understand for the sake of stopping violence in general why this would be necessary. However, it's more for the fact that it's in response to his particular political voice being silenced and spoken up against.
Absolutely.
Right, that I feel as if it was probably, like, otherwise we wouldn't have had such a response from the president at all. Right, like if you want to reference January 6th, right? I feel as if that was also a certain level of domestic terrorism, in my opinion, right?
Yeah,
Everyone,
absolutely.
absolutely. On certain levels, right?
Absolutely,
But you know, there was all good parties there, right? So
yeah, absolutely. You see, you gotta understand that this guy is a narcissist. He desires attention, and he desires to be loved. He wants to be admired, and so therefore he tries to put himself in places to be admired. But at the same time,
getting a peace prize from FIFA.
The Peace Prize. He wanted a Nobel Peace Prize so bad, and FIFA was so willing to, like, okay,
capitulate.
Yeah. So they made up a thing, and gave him that and
a medal.
A medal.
Hands don't look that way. I'm just letting you know.
And I think it was even a certificate.
Yeah.
And I'm just
all three.
It's
all
like
three's a bit much.
it's a lot. And it's like what he goes, hey, Melania, look what I got. Oh, very good. You're so good for you. You're good. Good. Yeah. I got the Peace Prize. It's the first one, the FIFA.
I do think it would be great if we could kind of just send Trump on like a ceremony award-winning tour, but just keep him out of the office. One, just like, hey, here's look a blade of grass to represent. Because I do think he'd go for a very long time. I do just think just whatever, blade of grass for your hair.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea.
Just kind of like lean him out of the
and just keep giving him stuff. Maybe people get a little lazy. They don't care. Look here, give him a Peace Prize and he spell it wrong. P-I-E-C. Here's a Peace Prize. Here's a pizza prize. Just keep giving him. Look what I got. More than Obama.
Keep him out the office.
Just keep giving him prizes. It can be gold-plated little plastic thing. But here's the thing. Well, you know who I sometimes worry about?
Who?
The producers of what was the show? The Apprentice. Because sometimes I think they're going, oh my God, we created a monster. And because I think he's taken this character of the apprentice boss. Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable. To the White House, and it's amazing. I said it's unbelievable because we have 3 minutes left, and it's just so much. And so what we're going to do, we're going to kind of close it down. And my first statement is going to be this: we're going to try our best to do things like this, as well as what we normally do. But we want you to be vigilant in America. We want you to stay and pay attention to what's going on. Don't just take the words of your family and friends. Read it, look it up yourself, and use your own judgment. Would you buy a car from this guy? That's my feeling.
I will second that. Please read up on anything that you hear online. Like even now, we are documents deep to make sure that we are accurate with how we're saying and phrasing things, right? So especially if you are trying to find out more about American history, how it's been rewritten, how it's been there to kind of oppose the people in silence, definitely pick up People's History of the United States. This is not a promotion of any kind, just I recognize it in the burned book section. So obviously with everything being amended and edited online digitally, it's always good to have a hard copy of something of yourself to in reference to.
And my last thing is just be there for your community, be there for the people around you, and there's so much going on. Like we said, it's only 1 year. We're going into our second year, and this is the reason why we wanted to hit the second year a little more serious. But I think my final statement is don't be disheartened by all the things you see. Take your time, pace yourself. But we do have power here as people, as American citizens, and don't let the idea of Trump or class or anything make you feel like you are disempowered. Not just by voting. Our votes are representation of our voices, and our voices, every time we speak out, is our own vote. So be there for your community, speak up for yourself, speak up for people who can't speak for themselves.
All right, in the last couple of seconds, I'm going to just say, we can have hope, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready to go into a brand new year. This is we'll be showing after the new year. We're about to say Happy New Year to you, to everyone that's here. And it was the words of Martin Luther King that he's made popular. It says, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And I like that. And we're starting to see things change by the votes that are happening. So remember to vote. Make sure you speak your mind, and make sure you let your voice be heard. This has been our first episode in 2026 of Various Fields. We're so glad to have you guys. As always, I love you to the moon and back.
Love you too,
all right? And we love you all for being here. Thank you for being here.
Till the next one. Happy 2026.
Welcome to the resistance.